France with an improved outlook for the economy here.
That's right, a slight improvement in the outlook before we get carried away, but one that's in the right direction, so the government will like that. This is the National Statistics Agency, INSEE, saying that the forecast for 2013 better than the 0.1% that they had earlier, now up to 0.2%. But the problem remains this high unemployment. They say that's going to stagnate pretty much and will be at 10.6% by the end of the year.
All right, well, still no end in sight, meanwhile, for the US government shutdown in its fourth day now, Matthew.
That's right. I mean, you've been reporting this morning, still deadlocked, really, those discussions and greater calls to get a solution. Now, the head of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, adding her voice. Let's take a listen.
The government shutdown is bad enough, but failure to raise the debt ceiling would be far worse and could very seriously damage not only the US economy, but also the entire global economy.
Christine Lagarde there. Well, while the politicians continue to argue for many of those government employees sent home with no pay, the end can't come soon enough, as Nicholas Rushworth reports.
Eric Bryan, like many people in the Washington suburb of Arlington, works for the US government. He's employed by the Pentagon. Since the government shutdown started, he's been forced to stay at home. He and his wife have 4 children. They're worried the US budget crisis could throw their financial life into disarray.
There was a little bit of planning already to know that we were going to make less money, be compensated less this year. So 3 days I can survive, but 2 weeks or more, we start worrying about where the mortgage payment's going to come from.
I've tried to maximize my money as much as possible.
On the other side of town, Maria Njoku is already on the brink of insolvency. She lives paycheck to paycheck and buys in bulk to save money. Her parents are both civil servants. She sees working for the federal government as her vocation. The private sector now appears more appealing.
The old saying is that the government is safe, it's job security, and the benefits are good. Well, it puts a different perspective when you're furloughed twice in less than 6 months, and you're not being paid, and your job is dependent on what Congress does.
Eric, too, sometimes thinks of joining the private sector. For the moment, though, he's looking on the bright side. Having more free time allows him to go to pick up his children from school each day.
Well, those fears reflected in what we saw in the markets. Catherine, the major indices on Wall Street all down, around 1%. Asian markets also making losses for the most part. Chinese mainland markets still on a public holiday. The Kospi there, South Korea, though, that's pretty flat for the time being.
All right, Matthew, now we're going to look ahead of the much-planned flotation of Twitter. For the first time, investors are getting a look at what is actually going on, the nuts and bolts of the company.
Yes, that's right, because the company is listing its shares. It wants to raise up to $1 billion. Now, in order to do that, it has to follow certain rules, and one of those is letting investors see how much money it's making or perhaps not making. Now, we do know that its revenues have been increasing, but the company still hasn't turned a profit. Not surprising for companies in this sector, perhaps. I'll give you some of the figures. $250 million thereabouts in the first 6 months of the year. Those was the sales. In terms of the loss, though, that's growing. $69 million they lost there. Now, when the company goes public, it's going to use the ticker code. That's the thing that you see on the stock exchanges, TWTR. And in terms of how much it's worth, some estimates saying the company will be around $12 billion. Now, that will make the biggest shareholder, Evan Williams, he's one of the co-founders, worth $1.4 billion. Not bad for a company started 7 years ago. Around 300,
really not bad as
300
well,
billion tweets sent since then. And a few of those have been sent by us as well.
We're very much active on Twitter.
That's right. You can follow us.
Here?
Please do follow us. You can see me at Matthew France 24. And Catherine as well is there. I nearly read it wrong. It's at CN-Trent F24.
Exactly. Thank you very much indeed for that plug. We'll see how that goes. Boosting the followers. Thanks very much. Matthew Warren there with the business news. All right, it's time now for a look at all the latest happenings in cyberspace. It's web news, and the top headline today, the seizure by US authorities of Silk Road, the world's largest online black market.
It sold all sorts of drugs, from cannabis to heroin to cocaine. You could also buy firearms or computer hacking software. Silk Road, an online marketplace for illegal products and criminal activities that reportedly generated sales of over $1.2 billion over a 2.5-year period, was shut down by the FBI on Wednesday. The US authorities have also announced the arrest of the suspected operator of the platform, Ross Ulbricht, in San Francisco. Investigators reportedly closed in on the 29-year-old suspect by piecing together his digital footprint. He's been charged with narcotics trafficking conspiracy, computer hacking conspiracy, and money laundering conspiracy. So he's thought to be the mastermind behind the site, which has been dubbed the eBay for drugs. Silk Road operated in the same way as an online shopping platform and even included a system for buyers and sellers to rate products. With Silk Road, however, great care was taken to protect users' identity. The website was accessed via an encryption program called Tor, and transactions were conducted using an online currency called Bitcoins that is independent